Well, hi there, everybody. I have our next video ready, uh, and what we're going to do today is you guys have seen these things. They're these triangular book holders that people put on the side of their bed or on a end table or whatever, and it kind of holds your place when you're reading. You just kind of set it down on top of it. There's room for a cup of coffee or some tea, and a spot to slide in your reading glasses if that's something you need to do. Hang on one second. Let me go grab my. I've already made one just to test this out to make sure I can do it before I started. All right, so this one right here, I made this the other day. This is just out of some pine that I had laying around. I wanted to make sure that the thing would work. That all the angles would work, that the length would work, that you can, everything that would be just fine for what we're doing. So this is what I ended up with. Again, a piece of pine. It just has, I think it's maybe Java bean is the stain that I put on it, and then I just put a high gloss polyacrylic surface on it to help protect it. The stain can be whatever you want. You can leave it unstained, however you want to do that. But this is what I've done. So now what we're going to do is I've got some cherry and I've got some walnut. I just want to use some nicer, finer type wood here and see how that goes. So what I'm going to do now is I've cut these down to size. So what these two pieces are 7 inches, and they're going to make up these steep sides for the book to lean on. The bottom, this is 11 inches. Now this one here is only 10 inches from here to here. I've seen different videos done where people have used varying lengths. Some say that you want this bigger piece to be 12 and these to be 7. When I did that, I felt like it was just entirely too long. The width on this, don't know what that is yet. What I do is I first cut these, and again, you see this knot that's going to be on this side. It's much nicer over here. So what I'll do is I cut these at that steep angle. It's 22.5 degrees. And once I get that cut and I get this glued up, then I'll set it on here and I'll see what that width ends up being. And I'm sure there's some mathematical equation that would give that to me, but I don't like to do math, and I'm sure none of you do either. So that's kind of how I do it. I get this put together, get this all glued up, get it all dried. And once that's done and I can put it onto here, then I can see where the width of this needs to be cut to. You can also do this without this piece sticking out. You can do it with just the triangle. And I did one of those, and it was pretty cool. Like I said, this angle at the top that we've got right here, this angle is at 22 degrees right here. All right, and those two go together. What you do then is you flip the board, and I'll show you this on the table saw. Once you get this cut, you flip the board, and it's the same 22-degree angle, which actually is 67.5 over here and 22.5 here. That gives you the full 90 degrees. What I did on the other one, though, is I did 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, and put that all together as one triangle without the piece sticking out. And that makes just the triangle piece. It's not as steep as you have here, but it works just fine. And I'm able to then either use it as a book holder, but what I use mine for is I lean my iPad up against it, and it does a great little job of put it on the table. I can read with the iPad right there, or I could watch a movie, however I want, with that sitting like that. So let's get over to the table. So here I have a little bit of a jig that I've made. I saw this on another post somewhere. It's just the shape of an H, and it fits snugly over the rail on my table saw, and that's all you need for yours as well. Just as long as it fits snug, you're good to go. There's a pusher bar on the end that I've put, and we're going to put this piece, we're going to mount our piece that we're cutting vertically on here, and we're going to have a pretty steep angle right here. That's the 22.5 degree angle that we're going to use, And so we'll just put this in here. We'll clamp it into place, and then we're going to run it through. Now what we're going to do is lay it down, run it through again, and cut that side. We're not changing the blade at all, and that piece will be done. All right, so here we're going to go ahead and zero out this meter so that I have this table saw level. My garage floor is not level, or not super level, so I'll level to the tabletop. So that's the first thing we'll do here is I'm going to go ahead and push the button, get this thing leveled, and we're down to 0. So that's what I want. It jumped up to 0.1. I'm going to live with that. All right, so now that I've got the table pretty darn close, one nice thing on my table saw is that I do have markings for 22, but not 22 and a half. I mean, it does show markings on the wheel when I adjust it. So half I just put in between there, so no big deal. Now when I go to read this, and I go ahead and put this on here, it's reading that angle right there, which is going to be 67.5. So if I put this on here, that's pretty close. But I'm going to go ahead and mess with it. You know me, and we'll see what happens. So as you can see, I did get it to 67.6. I'm happy with that. I'm going to keep that, and now we're going to cut. All right, here we go. We've got everything in place. You'll notice the clamp on the right is holding the piece tight to the jig right there. And then the other clamp is really what it's doing is helping to tighten up that H jig with the rail that I've got there. It's slightly loose, not a whole lot, but I want to be able to move this a little bit easier. I'll make some adjustments here. You see that was a little bit difficult, so I'll make some adjustments so that we can get that going. And I want to make sure it's a nice smooth cut and it doesn't move. I also want to make sure nothing is in the way that's going to hit the blade. I think you're going to see a problem here coming up real soon. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a problem. How about we move that clamp up out of the way of the blade where it should have been in the first place? I said to keep an eye on all that stuff, and guess what? I didn't do it. So there we go. It's all good now. All right, so there we have our 22.5-degree angle again. You can also see where I burned the wood when I had to stop. So don't stop. And now let's go on to the next part. So I've cut both pieces now. There they are, both put together. That's going to be the little triangle. That's the top of it. You can see I got some chip out there. No big deal. I'll sand that up and clean it up so it'll look fine when we're all done. But that's the important part, is they're nice and smooth and they do fit. So that's all I wanted. All right, so here I've removed the jig. I've got this my fence set up at, I think it's at I know it's at 5.5 inches from the blade. Now I didn't readjust the blade. It's still at that original angle that we set up. So I've decided to go 5.5 inches, and that's going to be the outside length for our book to sit on. You can put that at whatever you wish. You can do it shorter for if you're going to do smaller books like paperbacks. 5.5 gives a good distance for hardbacks and what have you. Paperbacks are just fine on it as well. So that's how we're going to set it, and we're going to go ahead and make a cut. All right, so you can see there I've got the piece of walnut also cut, and it's sitting there ready to go. I'm going to flip this piece of cherry over and take a look at this, and you can see there's just that little edge of that little sapwood edge there. I want to make sure that's gone. I want to get rid of that. So what I'll do is when I put these pieces together and set them up on here, you'll see that I have room to trim this board. along that edge, and I will get rid of the sapwood. And also up there at the top, it's kind of flat, it's not pointy, and that's okay. I would prefer it's not super pointy up there. That little flat edge wouldn't be too bad. So the first thing I'll be doing is gluing these two pieces together, getting them so they're glued and dried. Once I've done that, then I will feel safe about going and cutting along that edge, that little lip that you see there. That's about a 1/2 inch wide, give or take, and I'll be taking that off. But again, I want to glue it, let the glue dry, and then also I want to make sure both of these edges, they're a little bit off, so I'm going to either sand them or cut them so they're exactly the same distance, the same width, so there isn't anything sticking out on either of the two sides. And that should do the trick. Okay, so everything is sanded now. I have it down to 120 grit on both of these, both the walnut and the cherry. And so now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and glue these up. And I'm going to try to use these cutoffs to clamp to. And I'm only going to use these clamps. This isn't something that needs to, I mean, it's got to be strong, obviously, but it's, I'm not real concerned about it. So the other one I did held together really well. So let's just go with this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll get some glue on here. So I have it nice and covered. And let's get that put together like that. And then I will take these. This is going to be the fun part. Let's see if this will work. I'm going to put these here like so. Make sure those are edged up that way. And then I'm going to take this hand clamp and see if that'll hold it. And so far it looks like it's going to. It's getting me at a little bit of a weird angle. I need to get that to stay nice and straight there. So that seems to be holding pretty well right there. Let me flip this over and let's get this side to do the same. Tighten up that gap in between there. Beautiful. So it looks like I've got both good. There is a little bit of a difference here. And I did cut and I did smooth it out straight, but for some reason I'm getting a little bit of a lip. Don't know why. But I will, it's not a ton, and I will just sand that right out. So I'm not real concerned. It's not enough for me to be worried about. So we'll let those dry like that. I'll get the other one glued up and let this all dry, and we'll come back. All right, so those are dry. What I'm going to do next is I've lined them up with the edges over here, and I'm going to make a mark where each of these are. And then I'm going to go ahead and take that over to the table saw, and I'm going to just rip that right down there so that that fits perfectly on there. And it'll make a nice straight line on it, and that's going to help us give that real nice clean look. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave that lip there and use this as a stand for an iPad as well. But I don't want to use that. I don't want that option. I want to go ahead and cut that right off of there. And then what I need to do is go sand each of these individual pieces so that they're all nice and cleaned up and look nice. And then I will glue those down. Once that's glued, I'll clean it all up, do a couple more final sands down through the grits, and then put a polyacrylic over top of it, or an oil. No, I won't put an oil because the oil will get on the books. We don't want to do that. We do want a polyacrylic type surface on there. So let me go ahead and get this going and get those cut, and we'll sand, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got these sanded and way out of focus. Okay, so I have these sanded, and as you can see, they are glued down. Now, there is a little bit of a gap but I'm not going to concern myself too much with that. And I've got that one done as well, completely sanded, ready to go. So now all I need to do is put some polyacrylic on there, give them a nice finish. Oh, and by the way, I did chamfer the bottom of each of these just to give it a little bit of a reveal, just so it looks like it's sitting up. So I kind of just like the way that looks. So there they are. There's the walnut and a cherry. Make the light a little bit better for it. So there we go. Pretty much all done and finished, almost ready for books anyhow. So I'll go ahead and put some polyacrylic on here right now, and we'll go from there. All right, so we're done. Like I said, other than the polyacrylic, I will get the put on it, and I'll show you the final product in the end shots here, like I usually do. Hopefully you've enjoyed doing this one. It's a little bit more complicated. Takes some specialized tools in order to do this, but still, I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for me. And I do like the two different types of wood that I've got here. Those things, I love cherry and I love walnut. So those things, I think that really makes a difference. The pine was okay, but big difference in this when you use a nicer type of wood. It's a lot easier, a lot less tear out, all that good stuff. So thank you guys all so much for watching, for liking, for sharing. Now, why don't you go out and carve?